This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
Hey everyone, it is Tuesday evening, which of course means that it is Party Loaded time for episode 112. And tonight, I'm Luke Retallick. I have joining me Ollie. And we're going to have a bit of a Loaded Lads episode tonight because making his return after a bit of an absence, Christian Paulson-Brown's back with us. How you doing, Christian?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Nice to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been too long. It's been cool. Well, I mean, I say it's been too long, ignoring the fact that, of course, we've been playing games together for quite a bit.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we haven't spoken in ages. No, in fact, we've been speaking quite a bit. So that's just how that
literally yesterday.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah. Raiding yesterday.
Shared our bitter defeat all together as a group.
We'll clean it up tonight, probably.
We will, yeah. We definitely need to do that. So yeah, no, it's been a little while. Jam is off sick tonight, unfortunately. So we're going to let her rest up a little bit, and we'll take the show, and then hopefully she'll be back in fighting fit shape next week. And yeah, we've still got plenty of things to talk about, and it's a good opportunity for us to catch up about some of the funner news of the week because it's been a pretty interesting one as far as stuff coming out of nowhere that we didn't really expect. So yay Nintendo, we'll get into that real soon. But anyway, given that it's been a little while, Christian, I figured we'd probably kick off tonight with getting you to chat about some of the stuff that you hit on games-wise since the last time we spoke. 'Cause it's we probably got the end of year stuff, and I know that both you and I were posting about some of our top lists of games for the year, and kind of keen to see where you landed for wrapping up 2017. So what's been going on?
Yeah, well, I'll skip right over Hearthstone because I'm always playing that, so nothing new to report there.
Back to that.
We'll come back to that. Probably some of the cool stuff I've been playing recently is I picked up Skyrim VR over Christmas.
Oh.
I've been messing around, immersing myself in the world of Tamriel. Mm-hmm. Hadn't played Skyrim since probably 2013, so it was been quite a while, and I really like it. I'm impressed by the VR-ness. I was a bit skeptical of the locomotion and how fully realized like the scale would be, but it works really well and good fun throwing fireballs and swinging swords around.
Yeah. This is on PlayStation VR, I assume?
Yeah, on PlayStation VR. Yeah.
So are you running off the Pro? Or?
Yeah, running off the Pro. Yep.
Yeah, nice. No, I saw some footage. I think it might have been just before Christmas of a couple of people sort of doing the Skyrim VR thing, and a couple of the funny glitches still existing in the game, like people jumping off the back of horses and then spinning in midair and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. So good times.
The first dragon fight was just super cool. Finally seeing a dragon flying around and trying to shoot it down with my bow. It works really well. So I was very happy with that.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I've also been playing Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus. Is that what it's called? I always get confused with those names. Yeah.
The New Colossus is the previous one. It's
is it, or is that New Order was the previous one, wasn't it?
Oh, hang on. No, maybe I've got them two confused. No, you're right. It is New Colossus.
Yeah, because it was New Order, Old Blood, New Colossus.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm about halfway through that. I'm really enjoying it. I was a big fan of the first one.
I'm looking forward to getting back into that when I take care of my imminent computer upgrade because I was just chugging a little bit too hard on it to be enjoyable. So, yeah, we'll do that soon.
I need to try those games out.
I'm still amazed that you haven't played New Order, Ollie, because after speaking so much about it last year, you were dead keen to jump into that immediately when we last were chatting about it.
I got a lot on my plate.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot on my plate.
Yeah, zombies to kill.
I have to say, I do prefer the recent Doom to Wolfenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Both because they're both by Machine Games, but I think that I like Doom more. I feel like the music and the atmosphere appeals to me more than the Wolfenstein stuff, but it's still really fun.
Yeah, I would agree. Plus, Doom has pretty much the best soundtrack of a game ever, so I can totally understand. Yeah,
absolutely. Mm-hmm. And as far as my wrap up of 2017, my top games, I think my top 3 for 2017 were Persona 5, Breath of the Wild, and NieR Automata. I think NieR Automata was my game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
This game's just incredible. One of the most interesting and strangely emotional experiences in gaming I have had in recent years. Like, almost reminds me of Journey in a way towards the end.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like the very, like, I say end, but that game is famous for its like multiple endings. But like the sort of true ending hits very strange emotional notes that I didn't expect, but I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, we've talked a fair bit about this offline, and I think it's probably out of all of the ones that I regret missing out on last year. It's probably at the top of the list for me. I know Jan picked it up during one of the recent sales, so I think
it definitely has like a barrier to entry as far as like pushing people away at the look. They think you look at it and it's like weird goth Lolita Japanese action game, like fighting robots dressed in weird fashion, but underneath it is a really interesting take on like action games in general and narrative structure in games. Like Yoko Taro, the director, does really interesting things with narrative structure, and it's like the story of NieR Automata could only ever be told as a video game. Like there's no way that could be translated into any other medium, which I think is really interesting just because of the way he uses games as a medium. It's really interesting and very hard to explain without spoiling.
A lot of people I've heard talking about Yoko Taro sort of over the rise of NieR last year. I've heard a lot of mentions of comparing him to like early days of Kojima, sort of that his career may end up on a very similar trajectory where he's out there and trying very innovative and weird stuff that will make a name for him in the industry.
I can definitely see that. Yeah, he's because for a long time his main thing has been the Drakengard series, which NieR is actually a spin-off from. But the problem that's always plagued Drakengard is great story but terrible gameplay. Yeah. And then NieR Automata, he teamed up with Platinum Games, and Platinum Games did the gameplay and he still worked on the story and the narrative. So it was really like a match made in heaven, where it's the first time that it's really shined because it hasn't been bogged down in mediocre gameplay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just needs to have some success and get some money behind him, basically. Just
yeah,
get that happen. Sweet. Yeah. And then how's your Switch treating you generally? Still enjoying that?
I haven't actually been playing my Switch much recently. I think other than Mario Odyssey, I messed around a little bit with Stardew Valley, but yeah, it's actually been gathering a little bit of dust, I have to say.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, all right. So, Ollie, zombies. We talked a lot about zombies last week. How are the zombies treating you this week?
Better. I've finally got the game sort of down pat, like a rhythm sort of thing. So
this is They Are Billions for anyone who didn't listen to us last week.
Yeah, They Are Billions.
Yep.
I finally completed the first map. That was an effort. I think how long did it take me? It took me far too long. 20 hours. Jesus.
Wow.
Okay, that's a long time.
Interesting. Now, from what I understand, to unlock the second map, you have to complete the map on not one of the highest difficulty settings. In fact, it's like I think you can do it on like 120 days mode and one of the lower population densities of zombies on the map. So
I think you just have to pass it, to be honest.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It definitely doesn't have to be on the 100-day mode that I was talking about last week.
I did it on 120 because I like seeing the whole tech tree. It's nice.
Yeah, that's fair.
But no, the second map has changed things up more than I thought it would, which is really cool. So I like it. I'm curious to see what the other maps look like now. So I'm enjoying it. It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's a really good time sink in that you can just sit down and be like, oh, there goes 2 hours. That was quick.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet. We'll find out.
Yeah, well, it's certainly not a game you play for the story. It reminds me of early days of Command & Conquer Red Alert, where you spend a whole bunch of time playing multiplayer and you don't really care too much about the campaign after you finished it once. So
I'm not too familiar with this game. From what I've heard, is it kind of like a RTS roguelike? Is that kind of what it is?
Yep.
So steampunk flavored zombie apocalypse.
It's real good. Yeah, I'm loath to go into too much detail because we did spend a good 15 minutes on it last week. But
sure, yeah.
It's a game we can talk about really easily. But the big takeaway is that it is super, super, super duper hard, and that actually has an appeal kind of similar to Cuphead in some ways, where it's hard to the point of being challenging, and even though it like absolutely curb stomps you, you keep wanting to come back for more because it's just that right balance of challenge. So yeah, it's
I would say less just like out and out hard. I just say unforgiving.
Yeah. Every time you lose, it's totally down to a decision you've made. Like, it's unforgiving, but it's not unfair, I find.
Yeah, exactly.
Souls-like in that way.
Depending on which Souls.
Yeah. First one, not very forgiving. Third one, very forgiving.
Yeah. But yeah, no, would recommend. I'm actually considering, because I'm going to get some streaming up and running now that my internet's finally sorted, and might be one of the first games I chuck on and just see how that runs on Twitch. So give that a bit of a go. So you might get a chance to watch me doing it, Christian, if you can, to see a bit more. So there you go.
I don't think I really relish the chance of watching you do it, Luke, but...
No, that's fine. I understand. Totally understand. Yeah, I've played a bit more of that during the week as well. Probably haven't dedicated as much time to it as I would have liked because I've been distracted by a few things. One thing in particular, my household and myself and my two sons included are on a bit of a Zelda binge at the moment. And it's interesting because just having finished Christmas and my youngest, Zach, has just had his birthday as well because he has his birthday in the first couple of weeks of January. So the boys have got brand new games, a variety of different titles, and I've sort of been, enjoying spending some time with them playing video games and, living vicariously through my boys. But I've also been playing a few things of my own, but all three of us are actually playing different Zelda titles at the moment, would you believe? So... I've been tinkering around with some of the DLC, the new Champions Ballad DLC on Breath of the Wild, which has been a bunch of fun. So I won't go into too much detail of what's in there because there's quite a bit, but a couple of the main features are when you first kick into the DLC, you actually get placed in a tricky spot because you get a lot of your gear and stuff stripped. And for the first part, at least, it's basically a one-hit kill situation where you can't afford to get hit by anything. Otherwise, you just get wiped straight away. So you actually have to approach the game a little bit differently and be super, super careful rather than what you were doing towards the end of, the main storyline, which is, you become pretty super powered and you can just run in and annihilate most things. So changes the way you play a little bit, which is cool. But the main dungeons, or the new shrines, which I sort of think of as super shrines, there's 4 of them, and they're proving to be quite the interesting challenge. Like the puzzles and mechanics inside them are kind of like a nice little blend between the existing shrines and the divine beasts that are in the game. So sort of finding that middle point where it's not super large, but a bit more of a challenge than your standard shrines. They're really good fun. So
okay,
yeah. But I want to get that motorcycle. That's the big appeal.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
they dangle that in front of you, do they? You don't get it straight away?
No, you can only get it. You only get it when you finish the main quest in the DLC. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's okay because it's one of those items that I think would make the main story quite a bit easier with the way you can just traverse around and stuff. So it makes sense that they block it behind a wall of challenge to a certain extent. So yeah, but my eldest Ben, he's been playing around with Twilight Princess. So he's been having a real good time with that Twilight Princess on the Wii U.
Nice.
So,
one of my favourites.
Yeah. He got one of the things he was really asking for Christmas was the Wolf Link Amiibo. He was dead set on getting that one because he loved the figure and he just wanted it to have. And it was just a bonus that his grandparents who picked it up for him actually got the pack that included the game as well. So it was like a combo pack. So
nice.
Yeah, so he's been playing that. And watching him play that game has made it clear to me now that I can pretty much throw any type of video game in front of him and he'll be totally fine. He's at the age where I don't think it's an issue anymore. So, which is good to see.
Have you been playing with the Wolf Amiibo in Breath of the Wild?
No, I haven't tried that yet. Ironically, we own a bunch of the Amiibos for Breath of the Wild. Like, we've got a couple of the new champion ones as well, which look really nice. Like, they're great looking figures. Especially, I think it's Daruk or Garuk, the big dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that figure's awesome. But I haven't used any of them yet. Like, I tend to sit down and think to myself, oh, yeah, I'll give that a go. I'll chuck one on. And then I just get so absorbed in the game, I totally forget to do it. So.
Yeah, most of the Zelda Amiibo functionality feels a bit cheap because it's just like make a free chest drop from the sky or get free hearts. But the Wolf Link one is unique in that how it summons the wolf companion for you. So you actually get like a Wolf Link that can run around with you and help you attack baddies and stuff.
Interesting. So I'm assuming in Breath of the Wild you can't ride it like you can in Twilight Princess. No,
it's just like an animal companion.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. That's kind of cool. Yeah, and my youngest has been playing Ocarina of Time on his 3DS. So Again, a very, very highly regarded Zelda title, and he's getting to play that.
How's he going with that
time.
one? Because that can be a bit opaque.
Yeah, he's doing okay. His big brother's helping him out a little bit with some of the text within the game, like various different functions and controls. His reading is getting there, but not quite at the level where he can play a video game sort of smoothly yet. So he's getting through with a bit of help, but he's had quite a bit of experience firsthand with Breath of the Wild as well. So because he kind of understands, to a certain extent, how Zelda functions at a basic level and, basic video game controls, despite the fact that it's a very different kind of game, he's still kind of getting it. So it's not too bad. And he's played a little bit of Link Between Worlds, because I've got a copy of that on my 3DS as well. So it's not totally new for him. So he's having a good time with it. I think it'll take him a bit longer to complete than it would otherwise, of course. But, when you're 6 years old, that's just part of your existence, basically. So, yeah. So that's been a bunch of fun, but I haven't played a whole bunch else this week because I actually got massively distracted on the weekend, as I suspect you might have as well, Christian, watching some esports action. So, yeah. So
4 straight nights, pretty much.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So the World Championships of the Hearthstone Championship Tour was on, and it was, I got to say, it reminded me very, very much so that as far as esports that I enjoy watching goes, not just because I love the game, but Hearthstone esports is actually very, very well run. Like, it's got some of the most entertaining commentators in the business. It's the sort of game that you can actually keep up with quite well. It's not like...
That's why I love it, because it's like, I've been watching some of the Overwatch League too, but some of that, even with all the effort they've put in with the skins and the unified particle colors and everything like that to make it easier to watch. Yeah. Hearthstone is just still so much more easy to follow and understand play by play than Overwatch is.
Absolutely, because if you know the game, you actually have enough time to consider what you would do in their situation before they make their moves, as you sort of are observing. But I think, games like CSGO are actually not too bad either because of the perspective in those games. You can follow pretty much everything that's going on. But Overwatch, you're right, it is very frenetic. It's fun to watch, but there's a lot of stuff going on, so it's tricky to keep an eye on everything at once. So yeah. Ollie, did you actually get around to watching any of the Overwatch League stuff over the last sort of few weeks?
Nope.
No.
I have not looked at that game in a very long time, rather sadly.
Yeah. Oh, we may get the opportunity to soonish, but yeah, I mean, the end wrap up for the Hearthstone World Championship was very satisfying. It was a great underdog story, I felt, the way that the overall winner sort of took it out. And it was the first Asia Pacific winner that they've ever had after 4 years of competition. So it was
a really nice story for him, Tom60229, because he was actually present at the 2014. I think that was the very first Hearthstone.
Yeah, where Firebat took it out. Yeah.
Yeah, but he lost every single game. He attended the event in 2014, lost every single game, and got knocked out as soon as he could. But then waited and bided his time, and then came back in 2017 and took the championship. So it's very cool.
He was from Taiwan, I think.
Yes,
I want to say. Yeah. So the Taiwanese Prime Minister actually congratulated him personally on the win as well, which is pretty cool. So
super nice.
Crap.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
So you're doing pretty good at the nerd sports when your Prime Minister's congratulating you.
I do have to say, I was rooting for Frozen in the grand final just because I'm more familiar with him as a personality. But I would have been really happy to see either of them win. And Tom was definitely an amazing player, so well deserved. It
also didn't hurt that a few of the final games in that finale were actually pretty awesome in terms of unconventional plays and different strategies.
So good.
Yeah. So yeah, it's super fun to watch. But anyway, we could talk about that all night, but we won't.
Oh, one last thing on Hearthstone League.
Yeah.
Who did you pick for your champion?
I'm a dumbass, and I forgot to do it before the deadline closed.
Okay. So for anyone who doesn't know, with Hearthstone, they actually let you pick one player before a tournament, and the further that player gets through the tournament, the more rounds they win, the more packs you're awarded in game. So Luke missed out on free packs.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I would have chosen purple if I had have gone back and picked. Yeah.
I went with Surrender, so I think I end up with four free packs, which is nice. You made it to the semi-finals.
Yeah, you would have done all right, actually. He had a really good match against Tom, the overall winner.
Yeah.
So, Yeah. Yeah, no, I'll remember next time. I remember getting the alert at work and, when I was playing on my phone, and then I totally forgot about it because things got busy, and then I was kicking myself a few days later when it had already closed. But this time they actually gave everybody login bonuses just for logging into the game during the championship period, so you got some free packs no matter what, which was kind of nice.
Yeah, there was one a day from each of the expansions that came out over the year, which was nice.
Yeah, it's like a celebration of the annual cycle. So
that's right.
Yeah, that was cool. But yeah, anyway, so let's kick into a bit of news. So we were just talking Overwatch a second ago. One of the things that we had come up this week actually pertains to Overwatch. Ollie, do you think you'll be tempted back into the game with some of the new cosmetic stuff that's going to be dropping shortly, like all the new skins and stuff? Because there is a huge wave of cosmetics incoming into the game. So is there anything there that makes you fancy?
I've seen a lot that I actually really like. There's a lot of very, very, very cool skins. So I'm intrigued? Question mark? It basically, for Overwatch, it depends for me personally now. It's basically what our group is playing. If we get a bunch of 3 to 6 of us going, yep, on we hop, then done. I'm more than happy to get back into the game.
Yep.
But if it's just me going random pickups, then probably not. But these skins look super sweet. Is it one for each hero? Because I'm scrolling through and there's a lot.
I think so. There's over 100 new items being added to the game, but the good thing is that because it's not based on a particular event promotion, it's being added to the core game, so the non-event loot boxes, the standard ones. So,
sweet.
Yeah, that's so good. I think it's the first time they've done that, isn't it? Added to the core set.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Other than those Reinhardt skins, the Griefheart ones, I think that's the only other one.
Yeah, anything that's come out as part of a map release, I think, has been sort of core game. But
yeah,
I just saw the new Bastion highlight intro, and I love it.
Yep. Yeah, it was interesting. It's something I was surprised they didn't do at the game's anniversary. But I get they kind of made an event out of that as opposed to like a core update. But I don't know. It's good. They needed to do this, I think, because the event stuff is great. But the fact that it's limited time only, I don't think is enough a lot of the time, because if you miss a really good looking skin, there's absolutely no indication as to when you might get the chance to see that again. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I think the other thing it's done is it got to the point with the core set where it wasn't exciting opening the loot boxes anymore, because I pretty much had all the skins that I was interested in. So didn't really have any incentive to get more of the core boxes. I was just waiting for the events. But now, no matter when I play, I'll always be interested in opening up the boxes again.
Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, with all this and plus the Overwatch League stuff that got added recently, which I think we do have the ability to get at a cost. There's quite a bit of stuff.
You
that's
get one
added.
free. So.
Yeah. So actually, that's a good point. So if we as a group all came to some sort of consensus about having some sort of unified team color, when
Soul
we all
Dynasty.
play together, yeah, we could probably
Black and
look
gold.
the same. Yeah. All right. Cool. we'll sort that out at a later time. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But it's all going to be coming out at the same time, roughly, I think, as the new Overwatch map that we saw towards the end of last year. So the Blizzard World map, which is kind of the theme park with links to all of the different Blizzard game properties. So that's finally got a release date, and I'm just looking it up now. I think it's coming in the next week or two, if I'm not mistaken. The date? I've lost the date. Look up the date. You know how to Google.
Jesus. I just want them to actually open this place up in real life. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, we'd be
Like by the video. It just looks so pretty and cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it is good. It reminded me a lot of what Bethesda did at E3 last year with the Bethesda Land stuff that they promoted. So, yeah, which is pretty cool.
Nintendo has their Universal Studios partnership, so that'll come to life at least.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. I see no reason why Blizzard couldn't open a theme park at some point, like a proper, actual bona fide theme park. They could totally do that. I have no idea whether it'd be profitable or not, whether theme parks these days even are like a good investment or not, but damn it, it'd be
Have
cool.
you heard of a place called Disneyland?
Yeah. I don't know. As time has changed, though, Ollie, and as a lot of the sort of weird and wacky experiences are now available in your own home with the advent of new technology. Are theme parks really as cool as they once were? I mean, you can go into escape rooms in a lot of major cities these days, and that's kind of like a bite-sized experience of similar sorts of activities. So, in a way, but I don't know. I mean, kids will still love them, of course, but things aren't quite the same as when we were kids. I remember
it's still pushing $2 billion in profit a year for Disneyland.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. But Disney has changed a bit
across
in the last few
11
years
parks,
too.
To be fair.
Yeah, Disney as an organisation now own your entire childhood, so they've got a lot more stuff they can play with in their.
Oh no, sorry, it's 11 parks, 45 billion in revenue. So it feels like they're going well enough. Yeah. Just quietly.
That is fair. Yeah. All right, well, if you don't like Disney characters, maybe you are a fan of some of the PlayStation character lineup. So, not content to allow Nintendo and other companies to have all the fun when it comes to collectible figurines, PlayStation's getting in on the action now, and apparently there's a new figure line coming out soon called the Tutaku range.
Yeah.
Did you sneeze? What was that?
Tutaku.
Every time I read it, it reminds me of Kotaku, but with a T.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, these things aren't amiibos. They don't have any sort of electronic component or responsive functionality in them. They're just figurines, but they're very similar size-wise by the look of it. So
there's only 8 in the announced lineup.
Yes.
And it has such memorable PlayStation characters as Wipeout Car.
What?
One of the I was going to call them amiibos. Tutakus is one of the ships from Wipeout, one of like the racing cars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Bloodborne guy.
Yep.
Oh, everyone loves Bloodborne guy.
Oh, such a deep character, Bloodborne guy.
Love him. Got such a good arc.
Yeah.
They have Sackboy though.
They do. Yeah, they've got to have, that's like their mascot. Got to have Sackboy.
They've got some memorable ones. They've got Crash Bandicoot. They've got Parappa the Rapper. They've got Kratos as well.
Yeah,
the Kratos one looks kind of cool.
They had some characters that were relevant 15 years ago. Sure.
That is fair. That is very fair.
No, look, I love PlayStation. I'm a big PlayStation fanboy, but this reminds me of when they did PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. It just kind of feels like trying to keep up with Nintendo or trying to copy Nintendo in a way, and I don't know about these. Yeah,
it's like a cry into the void to remind everybody that, hey, our first party IP is memorable too. Really?
Yeah.
Which that's a fight they don't really need to pick at the moment. They're doing fine in other areas, but yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. There's maybe 1 or 2 figures that people will latch onto and think are cool. But I don't know. This sort of stuff doesn't seem to be even as high quality as some of the collector's edition items that you might get with various game purchases. So
yeah, especially the Parappa the Rapper one, because he's 2D, so it's basically like a piece of plastic card stuck into a stand.
Yeah. What do you even do with Parappa?
Not a fan.
Yeah.
Well, Christian's got pretty high taste when it comes to collectible figurines. I mean, your Evangelion collection's a little bit, a bit more poke your nose back up. And
I do like my Amiibos, though. Amiibos are acceptable, but yeah.
Yeah, they are good. Much better than Funko Pops, that's for fucking sure.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started on Funko Pops.
Yeah. All right, well, the other big news, which we kind of can't dance around forever because I know we want to spend a little bit while talking about this. We just missed the boat in terms of timing when we recorded last week's episode, which was a bit of a shame. But, I mean, fortunately, we all get to chat about it together tonight. So Nintendo, for anyone who hasn't been paying attention, dropped a bit of a bombshell in a late announced direct last week. So their big new interactive thing which is coming out is Nintendo Labo.
Labo
Ollie,
or Labo?
I want to say, I think it's probably Labo because it's probably supposed to sound a bit more like laboratory, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Labo.
I'll wait till someone says it officially.
That's true. And interestingly enough, the video they launched doesn't actually phonetically mention the name ever.
Yeah.
Very clever like that. Yeah. So Ollie, what's the elevator pitch best explanation you can give for what the hell Labo is?
Cardboard cutout accessories that inventively use the Wiimote controls. Not Wiimote, fuck me. The
Joy-Cons.
Switch Joy-Con things.
Mm-hmm.
Which to me personally, I think looks pretty fucking sweet. Like, I really like what they're doing with it, both from a business and a personal consumer standpoint. So the idea behind it is you have these essentially like, it's cardboard, but it's papercraft kits, which you'll buy flat pack and you'll unpack them, fold them various ways, clip them together into various constructs such as, I don't know, like a piano, a motorbike front bit, a fishing rod, whatever. And by putting in the Joy-Cons, in certain spots, they essentially become motion controls for a game. So what it basically allows you to do is have cardboard peripherals that are specific for a game, as far as almost like a simulation controller. So rather than going, cool, I pay $80 for my fishing rod controller, I pay $60 for my like acceleration pedal thing, and $20 for my joystick or whatever. You just have a cardboard thing that you slot the controller into, which for me is just, it's so fucking clever.
I think if anybody says they saw this coming, they are full of shit.
They are completely full of shit.
Yeah.
Like, from a business standpoint, it's genius because they're literally just making it out of cardboard. The majority of the cost is the design cost. Which,
There's some elastic bands in there, hey? Elastic bands. Pretty pricey.
Look out. I'm fully expecting official Nintendo markers to come with it. Or to be able to purchase that work specifically with that cardboard really well.
I don't know about markers, but
that.
they are releasing some decorator sets which have like tape with designs and stuff on them. So, yeah.
There will be markers. I guarantee it. But no, I think it's a fabulous idea. It's designed to basically put the play elements. Like, you have a lot of very serious business games today that you have a hard time sort of having kids avoid that, or like trying to filter for kids. So having Nintendo basically go, fuck it, this is going to be just pure fun, let's play like with kids, but tack some technology into it, basically. I think it's really fucking clever. I reckon
And this is definitely
really well.
Like aimed directly at kids too. So it's one of those things that I like, but it's not for me. But nothing doesn't everything doesn't have to be for me, and I think it's awesome for kids. So
yeah, but that
I
makes
don't really
sense.
see
You want to try it
enjoying
though, don't you? You definitely
I want
to
try it, but I'm not sure it's worth the cost of entry to try it when I really don't think that adult gamers will get much out of it.
See, you say that. There's a clip in that video which is a kid basically puts the Switch main sort of screen thing as like a VR setup and puts the Joy-Cons in as his hands and his feet and does a VR like robot punching game.
That's the robot kit, yeah. So because they're selling it as two kits, that you can buy the robot kit by itself, and then there's like the multi-pack. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
I'm just saying, there's a whole sweep of nerds that love the giant robots. So if you can go first person being a giant robot, I think they might be into that.
Also, shout out to Nintendo for saying that they're not in the VR game or AR game, and then coming out with this and just saying stealthily, yes, we are. So
now, can you guys actually confirm for me? Because I've seen the thing the kid puts on his head, but I didn't actually see the screen in front of him. Is it definitely he definitely has the screen in front of his face?
I'm 90% sure
does.
it is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely just, they literally just slot the Switch thing in and he clonks it down. So
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
because that thing's not light, I do agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember trying to pause the video I watched and spot it, but I couldn't see it. But maybe it was in other material.
Well, they've used it in a similar manner for some of the other games as well. Like the fishing game was the notable one, which also had the AR element because you put the screen sort of in front of you down below where the end of the line is, and you're basically fishing in that screen as like the water source. So yeah, kind of using it in that fashion.
Because that robot game is third person as well, which is interesting. It's not a first person experience.
Unless it's switchable within the game, because you might be able to do both. Yeah.
It's actually a demo that Miyamoto showed off at E3 a couple of years ago, which was just called Project Giant Robot, funnily enough. And then it disappeared for years and no one had any idea where it went. And now it's come back as Labo.
So the pricing and release dates have been revealed as well. So
have they?
The variety kit. Keep in mind these are US prices. So the variety kit is going to be launching for $69.99. So that is reasonably on par with most sort of full price Nintendo Switch games, but you're getting the sort of cardboard elements as well. So I think it's about $10 more than what you'd normally pay for a Switch game in the US.
For the uninformed, what's in that variety pack?
So I think there's about 25 of the cardboard sheets. I might be a little off on the number, but I don't know how many mini games that does for you. We can look at the video and sort of get a feel for roughly how many are in there. I think it's probably about half a dozen at least. Yeah. But the other kit, the robot kit, is $10 more. So it's going to launch same day for $79.99 US. and that one is just the robot kit. So one would assume that particular game would be a little bit bigger in terms of what you can do. But they're both coming out on the 20th of April for the US, and Europe and the UK, it's going to be out on the 27th. So slightly later, but, end of April, essentially, for both. Which is not that far away when you think about it. So, yeah.
One thing I do really like is Nintendo have confirmed that they will have templates available on the web so that you can make your own replacement parts. Because kids are going to destroy these things because it is cardboard. And so rather than having to fork out cash to buy a whole new kit, you're going to be able to cut out replacement parts from templates on the web.
Yep. And I must admit, that was my single biggest concern when I saw this stuff, because the cost seems... I mean, it's a little on the expensive side, but it seems okay given that, you can also pick up games like 1-2 Switch, which, a whole bunch of mini games without all the peripheral stuff. So, but the thing is, like, when you're dealing with kids trip, they fall on stuff, they crush things, they don't take care of stuff. They, spill drinks and liquids on things. Cardboard's super absorbent. You've got that issue as well. You don't want to spend upwards of $70, $80, and that's US, so considerably more for us, and then have to replace it due to, kids not taking care of things or just, general wear and tear. So if they can be printed out at a very, very low price, or if replacement packs are available without having to pay for the game again, then that could be a good alternative as well. But as a parent, that would concern me like a great deal. So
yeah.
But I think it's only a matter of time, as you were saying, that, and Ollie, you could probably speak to this a little bit because you've had quite a bit of experience sort of using some of the tools you have available at your workplace to print out, or look at printing and laser cutting various different parts and things. So, I'm wondering how much of that is going to be achievable without the nature of cardboard being foldable sort of getting in the way. So
there's going to be so many community-made, like, mods or just... here's my version of this done, and it looks like 3D printed amazing stuff. Or like, you like this game? Here's the laser cut version out of plastic, or here's a 3D printed version instead. That's going to be a thing.
Yeah. Another interesting thing too is that there's a bunch of they're calling them toy cons. That's basically what you get when you put the Joy-Cons in the cardboard apparatus. So there's a bunch of toy cons that were shown in the video that aren't actually part of the variety pack as well. So we can only assume they're going to come out in later packs. So there was an old school looking camera as one of them. There was a steering wheel and gas pedal as another. You probably saw there was a Flappy Bird thing that appeared to have the screen in the back of it too, which was kind of cool. There was a weird little person that was face planting when controlled, and I assume it was the HD rumble that was sort of allowing you to try and keep it suspended or not, like a bit of a dexterity sort of skill tester. There was a gun, like a blunderbuss looking sort of shotgun type thingy.
Yeah, like Nerf looking thing.
Yeah. There was a flight stick, which could be used for some sort of flight sim game. There was a lot of interesting looking stuff that isn't actually part of what's releasing in April. So I think there's going to be a bit of legs to this thing and what's coming after the fact. I just wonder what the lead time for development on the Labo games are. I mean, obviously it won't be anywhere near regular games sort of dev time, but... yeah, I mean, how quickly could they come up with a concept and get something out there? Because it makes you wonder whether they're going to open up the possibility to some of the third parties they work with to do branded stuff for other titles and have Labo components with it. So,
I would like to just clarify something. Mm-hmm. The robot thing isn't a VR thing. You don't put the Switch in front of your face.
Okay.
Yeah. The actual game's on a TV screen.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I will just show you.
Could have sworn they had the screen in the visor. That's all right. Yeah, interesting. Labo, totally Nintendo as hell. This is the verdict I've come up with. Yep. That was very cool. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. There's a visor of some sort that flips down on the guy's face, but it's not containing the... Yeah,
it's like pretend goggles, pretend mask.
Yeah, gotcha. Which actually, that does make a certain degree of sense because unlike a smartphone, that thing, the Switch actually has quite a bit of weight to it, so you need something pretty hefty to hold it on your face without it slipping down off the front. So, yeah. Cool.
So it's interesting then that they're completely avoiding that and just going essentially just peripherals. So I'm intrigued. I'm very hopeful for this, actually. I'm very optimistic, which is unusual for Nintendo releases.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unlike other games that sort of have really bulky, sort of unique peripherals that only belong with those games, and I'm thinking of, Guitar Hero and Rock Band as the first examples of that. This is something that, you can quite easily experiment with a whole bunch of different types of things because the cost to, make unique ones is not that high. So, yeah. I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing what they experiment with in the future. It's going to be good fun to see. Even if you don't get to play it, I think the very fact that these exist is a good thing. So, yeah. Cool. All right, well, let's kick into our main topic. So, sort of on the similar line of what we've been chatting about with Labo, we thought tonight might be a good opportunity for us to chat a bit about some of the weird and wonderful stuff that actually allows us to play video games and take ourselves beyond the basic controllers and behind the screen elements. So, we sort of affectionately term this one as beyond the screen video gaming. So, anything that we can use to break the fourth wall and immerse ourselves a bit more interestingly in a gaming experience than maybe what we'd have as standard. We thought we'd just have a bit of a chat about how various companies have approached that in the past and some of the stuff that that sort of comes into that conversation. So, Christian, I'm going to throw to you to kick this one off. So, what would you sort of start off with when we're talking about beyond the screen opportunities to sort of venture out there with different ways to play games?
Yeah, where to start? I mean, when I think of the first examples of this sort of thing, one thing springs to mind is Rob the robot from the NES.
Oh yeah,
if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing with Rob was the entire reason it existed is because retailers didn't want to stock video game consoles after the market crash in '83. So Nintendo had to market the NES in America as a toy, not a video game console.
Mm-hmm.
So they invented Rob the robot so that Toys R Us would actually stock the things.
That's interesting.
Which I think is a hilarious piece of history.
Yeah.
And then I mean, light guns were huge. The Zapper and the Super Scope and playing Time Crisis on the PlayStation. That was always great fun.
Bless Time Crisis.
Time so good.
It was so good. I used to love a bit of Virtua Cop as well. That was good fun. So, trying to recreate the feeling from being in the arcade and when companies actually started to look at ways to do that in the home, that was an exciting time. That was really cool. Yeah. And who can forget the Nintendo Power Glove? Good God.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Never had one myself, but those things are retro gold nowadays.
Mm-hmm. And probably disease vectors for just about every known bacteria under the sun. Because people sweat in those things. I would not want to put my hand in one that has been around for that long. It's kind of grody. Yeah.
I think the history of these beyond the screen peripherals is always a history of successes and failures. There are so many examples you can point to of failures. Even the Nintendo Virtual Boy, it was them experimenting very early on with a sort of VR type experience, and then the more recently things like the PlayStation Move. Only really found its home after the launch of PlayStation VR. And even going back to the PlayStation Eye in the PS2 era, that thing didn't really sell as Sony wanted it to. And they remember they released that Eye of Judgment, which was like a AR card game for the PlayStation Eye.
I don't even remember this. You're going to have to explain what it was. So was it...
The Eye or Eye of Judgment?
Are they both related or are they separate? So
yeah, the PlayStation Eye was really the first motion control I can think of for a core console. It was like a camera that you'd put on top of your TV and it would just show the image of you dancing around in front of the screen, and you'd play games like soccer where you'd use your head to defend the goals, or simple sort of boxing things. It was kind of like a precursor to the Wii.
Okay, like a silhouette sensor sort of thing.
It was like a silhouette sensor, but on the screen was literally the camera feed. So it wasn't like taking your movements and projecting them onto an avatar like Kinect does. It was just using your image on the screen.
Right.
And then, Eye of Judgment was a game they made, which was like a card game where you'd lay down a mat and it would sense the cards that you put on the mat and make the little monsters appear on your TV.
Oh, yeah, I vaguely remember something about this, yeah.
But
I have no idea.
Yeah, see, the reason you have no idea is because it was a massive financial disaster. And Eye of Judgment, there were warehouses full of the cards that just had to be sold at 5 cents a pop because no one bought it because the actual technology was really flaky, didn't work very well, and the game itself wasn't very fun. So
Yeah, no, I mean, some of this stuff I think probably hails from some of the more interactive board games that have been out there in the past as well. They've tried to translate elements into video gaming, but I mean, often it's just about immersion. Like they want to create a circumstance where you can feel a bit more invested in the game, and that's where we see the birth of things like flight sticks for flight sims, and you've got your racing car sort of steering wheel setups and pedals and those sorts of stuff. I've seen a bunch of different people in, maybe the late 90s and early 2000s who have gone to the effort in their own homes of actually trying to build like a full-on racing car, cockpit setup, which, acts on a swivel and that kind of thing to really sort of immerse themselves. And this is back probably when, driving games were a lot more in their vogue than they are today, because they certainly dropped off a bit. But yeah, it's one of those things. Guitar Hero and Rock Band, of course, actually using the drum kits and the real guitars. Well, I say real, as real as you're going to get with those games kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, those sorts of games were pretty successful with those peripherals. The biggest downside...
For a while. There was a bubble there.
Yeah, I mean, retailers hated them because they had to keep, space on the floor for that kind of stock, and, there was only going to be a limited time for how long they were going to be willing to do that. But, yeah. It's interesting. They weren't super durable either, which I guess was a problem for a lot of them, because they do tend to get bashed pretty hard when people are playing those games.
Especially when you get angry.
Oh, yeah. They're relatively frenetic. Absolutely. Which is cool. But I think that some of the most interesting examples of sort of operating outside of the usual control scheme, some games have really taken it as a challenge to work with what they have to kind of do weird and wacky and inventive things to sort of function outside of your standard control scheme with different functions in the games. Probably the most notorious one, which just about everybody will know this if you've ever been familiar with the Metal Gear franchise, of course, is the infamous boss fight with Psycho Mantis in the original Metal Gear Solid. So where he actually asks you, in order to beat Psycho Mantis, because he's reading your mind, the trick is that you actually detach your controller from the first port and put it into port 2 so that he can't read your thoughts and preempt your movements, because it's almost like you're fighting blind using the second port. And that was something that we had never heard of or seen anything as weird as that before. That was like groundbreaking in the industry.
The other thing Psycho Mantis does is reads your memory card and taunts you about other games that you've got saved onto your memory card, anything by Konami. So it's like, I see you've been playing Castlevania, and like trying to get into your mind and freak you out, which is really cool.
Yeah, that sort of stuff's awesome. There's been some games since then that have done similar things, and I think Undertale is probably a good, more recent example of games that sort of remember a bit of your play history and bring that into the game to mess with you a bit. But and
Doki Doki Literature Club more recently.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, they're good times. But as far as the peripherals go, there's another game that I forget. I can't remember what it is. It was mentioned to me recently where the only way to actually complete a level was to do a soft reset on the exterior of the console without actually pushing the reset button in all the way. I can't remember what it was.
What was that?
It's going to come to me later, but yeah, there's some weird stuff like that. Oh, the DS as well made interesting use of a couple of functions. The ones I can remember, Zelda, the Phantom Hourglass. So there's a puzzle in that game where you actually have to blow out candles, and it uses the onboard microphone on the DS. If you blow gently against them, it actually allows you to blow the candles out in game, and you have to figure that out yourself. Like there's not a whole bunch of clues in the game for that. So,
and do you like that stuff? Where you have to use the microphone or use the IR sensor for a little puzzle. You enjoy that?
I've kind of got mixed feelings on it. Like I really enjoy it for the inventiveness of it and how it can sort of really make you think outside the box in a puzzle solving kind of way. But I think it works best when the game that you're playing sets a bit of a precedent and expectation for you to have to do that in the first place. Because if it reaches the point where you're frustrated and blocked from progressing further because you just can't work out how to do something, then that's not fun. So
I agree. Like I don't know if either of you played Uncharted Golden Abyss on the Vita by any chance, but that had a puzzle in it where you needed to hold your Vita up to a bright light because you had to like reveal like a dark object in the game. But if you didn't have a bright light source nearby, then you couldn't do that puzzle. So you could get stuck just, until you have to, go to another physical location and figure it out. But yeah, if you're just playing it in bed at night or something, or on a plane where people are sleeping next to you, then yeah, you couldn't really progress. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's a bit dumb. Yeah. Yeah.
See, one thing that I remember for that sort of stuff is did either of you play the PT demo?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still have it on my PlayStation. Never deleting that.
Yeah. Nice.
Fantastic. So the way you unlock the ending.
Oh yeah.
So having to plug your microphone in and actually, basically either scream or yell or say stuff for about 30 seconds.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yep.
I did not realize that. That's cool.
That's one of the ways that you can it's one of the ways to unlock the ending.
Get the phone to ring.
Yep.
So is that the only way to unlock it, or is that just like probably the easiest way?
I think it's actually the only way. There's like 3 steps to it. I'm very vaguely remembering here.
Yeah, it was super cryptic. There was other stuff you had to do with like the steps that you take and this bell that rings, and it was very cryptic.
The kid to laugh, I think, something like that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. There's a whole deal.
And speaking of
really cool.
like horror games that do this sort of thing, Until Dawn, how would you be hiding in a closet and you had to hold the controller like perfectly still, the PlayStation, like as your shot. And if you moved the controller even just micro movements, then the killer would like find you. So just super tense having to it was cool.
That is so cool. I had no idea about that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. And I don't know how, but the game tells if you just put the controller down on a table, because that's the obvious thing. It's like just put the controller down and it won't move. But it knows somehow. It knows.
See, Christian, you know what I did? I rested my hand on the table. Next level.
Yeah.
Such a dirty cheater.
But that's cool.
The other thing I think has probably been big in recent years and has dropped off pretty hard now is a lot of the Toys to Life stuff. So, as far as weird and wacky peripherals for games, you've had, pretty much everything from Skylanders to Disney Infinity to Lego Dimensions, and, Amiibo as well. They all function in slightly different ways. And if I was to pick my favorite out of all of those, I would absolutely point to Lego Dimensions because they're like next level awesome. The Lego computer games for a start are generally pretty damn good, but the fact that Lego Dimensions are actually buildable, completely normal quality Lego kits that go with the games and allow you to add different elements and characters and vehicles and upgrades and stuff as you're playing. I think that's totally awesome. So probably a bit better than how Amiibo work, because Amiibo, while being really nice looking collectible figurines, the functionality in game for each of them is very wildly differing in terms of how good it is. So
I feel like the Amiibo function was kind of a promise that wasn't really fulfilled.
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword with that kind of stuff because, and I've complained about this a bit when we talked about the release of Samus Returns and the Metroid Amiibo and how they function with the game. So I think you don't want to get to the point where you are required to buy items like that to actually enjoy a game. Like, it's good when it's a value add, not a you must use this to get the full sort of experience kind of thing. But it's a very tricky line to tread because you don't want to make it, not significant enough that there's no reason why you want to do it at all versus it's so important to the game that not having it is a detriment. So
it really is. Yeah. A very, very fine line, which is, I think that the original like Smash Brothers integration was the best, how you can actually save data to the Amiibos. That seems to be the only real game that has done that, where you'd save your like AI characters that you trained and you could take them to a friend's place and load in your AI helper. But no other Amiibo have really done that.
I think Skylanders operated on that kind of system, if I understand correctly.
Yes, Skylanders do, but just Amiibo specifically, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's not unique to you. They're all the same kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole Toys to Life thing was definitely a bubble, and I would use was because I think that it has burst. And Disney Infinity was cancelled prematurely. Lego Dimensions has been discontinued now. Yeah. And Amiibo seem to be fewer and far between than initially. I
think part of the problem with those was that there were too many different options at once. Like if it had been, because Skylanders for the longest time was successful because it was the only thing on the market that did what it did. But it wasn't long before, Infinity and Lego Dimensions were competing for the same space. And I don't think it's a market that grows with more competition. I think, the pool that you're talking about is still roughly the same and they're all taking, pieces of that pie without the pie getting much bigger. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a tricky one. But I think Nintendo playing a different game altogether with Amiibo because people love collecting those characters, and people will often buy them without even having any intention of using them in the games, like me.
Like me.
Yeah, exactly. How many Amiibo have you
Just
got, Ollie?
good quality. I've bought them as gifts for my partner, so she has 5.
Okay, that's all right. It's a respectable number. I've got 3. I need to purchase a 4th one because I need to have all of the Samuses.
He needs to.
Yeah.
He needs to do it.
Well,
that being said, Samus is a very nice quality figure.
Yes, it is. The only one I'm missing at the moment is the Smash one, which is the Zero suit. So yeah.
I've probably got close to 40 Amiibo, I want to say.
Why does that not surprise me?
Oh, Jesus.
I have pretty much the entire Smash series and then most of the Zelda series. What really killed it for me was the Animal Crossing set. I feel like when they released the Animal Crossing set, that was when I was like, no, I actually do not want this. I bought KK Slider and Isabelle, and I was like, no, I'm done. And then I did notice them sort of withering on the vine in the shops too, and they getting heavily discounted after a short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not the same sort of appeal to a Tom Nook Amiibo versus a Link Amiibo. It's not.
Nah, there's really not.
No, not on the same playing field. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, we've obviously got all the VR and AR stuff, which is sort of the modern take on playing games outside the game, and we'll continue to see that evolve as time goes on. So we've spoken about that at length, but it seems that Labo is the newest entry in this kind of ecosystem. So God only knows what that's going to look like in a year's time. I think be interesting to see if other companies attempt to sort of pick that up and do their own version of it.
Because these things sort of do tend to follow that pattern sometimes, where Skylanders comes out and then the bubble follows, or the Wii came out and then Connect and Move followed. So I wonder with Labo, do Sony and Microsoft have a response to it in a year or two's time?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also an interesting question with anyone who decides to work with Nintendo on that kind of product, like if they do want to open the doors for third parties to experiment with stuff. When you're talking about games that eventually end up being multi-platform, is that going to be an issue? Because then you could have a game that is on Switch that uses Labo components, and then that same game would be on other platforms and not have access to that kind of stuff. So that makes it a little tricky. But
I guess there's an immediate complication with the other companies copying it, which is this Labo uses the Joy-Cons so well, whereas the other companies would have to package in new controllers, I guess, like split their controller functionality into multiple pieces, but then that would increase the cost of the hardware and
makes it tricky. The size of the Joy-Cons are really what enables this as well, because keeping it that small and allows you to insert those into a whole bunch of different things. There's no other controller on the market that is.
It's like they planned it or something.
Yeah. Look, full credit to them. Fucking super clever. It's just it's amazing.
Oh yeah. I did see
Yeah.
Sony filed a patent a few years ago for a DualShock controller that can split in half. So I wonder if that patent has gone anywhere, and maybe we'll see a new PSVR controller / Labo response that's a DualShock that splits into 2.
Interesting.
That's the only way I can see them doing anything remotely similar, because the other controllers you just can't do anything like it.
Yeah.
I actually, for the longest time, thought I'd be completely against a split controller sort of setup, like having one separate element in each hand rather than anchoring both your hands together with a combined controller. Because I just thought it wouldn't feel good, like it wouldn't feel like you were sort of centered when you're playing a game. But the more that I've thought about it, and the more that I've experimented with different things, and actually playing with the Joy-Cons, particularly with Mario Odyssey, has kind of cemented this for me. It's actually a lot more comfortable than you think. And particularly if the game supports separate movements with the controls effectively, like with Mario Odyssey, throwing Cappy around, with a flick of one wrist is a very good way to kind of demonstrate the use case scenario for having the controllers separate. I don't mind that at all, and I think that as VR becomes more mainstream as well, people will get used to that kind of setup because people are used to having the separate VR controls in the hands as well. Yeah, that'll be interesting. It's a little bit more comfortable than maybe it would have been a number of years ago, that sort of thing. But yeah, no, all right. Well, lots of interesting opportunities for future development when it comes to sort of peripherals beyond the standard and sort of taking games beyond the screen. So it's an area we'll have to keep a close eye on and chat about any cool tech that starts popping up here and there. So
Absolutely.
It's only the beginning. So all right, well, that's a good sort of place to wrap up tonight's episode. So nice, short and succinct one, which is a change for us. Good God, we know it. So
it's like when guys go to the shops. Guys go to buy things and ladies go to shop. It's like that. We know we're here conversations as well. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's totally not how this works.
I'm going to get the shit kicked out of me by
I was
Jam.
going to say, you're in trouble now.
Yeah, I'm in big trouble now.
I'm not even going to try and create that narrative because I know full well that I'm usually the centre cause for why we run overtime. So I haven't got a leg to stand on when it comes to this conversation.
Mate, I was braced when you two were there with your Hearthstones. I was braced.
We behaved the shit out of ourselves today. I think we did well with that.
I swear, Luke, we need like a Hearthstone special sometime where the two of us can just talk about it for an hour, 2 hours.
Agreed. I don't know if that'll be enough time.
I'll book that Tuesday off.
No, we'll find a good opportunity to do it. But anyway, on that kind of related topic, we have of course had a bit of a chat to Jam, and not being here, she's been involved in a bit of the discussion. So I had a good time tonight. Ollie, have you enjoyed tonight's show? How you feeling?
Yeah, it's all right, eh?
It's been good. Christian, you keen to hang with us again? You want to make this a bit more of a regular thing? What do you reckon?
I would love that, Luke. That'd be awesome.
All right. Well, Ollie, we're going to have to actually get Christian to do some of the work now. That's how this works out. So we can
Hang on. Hang on. No. Kidding.
Well, you're good for all the editing, right?
Well, yeah, that's it. Like, I'll just take next week off. I think we're all set. You can.
Let's take some baby steps here, okay?
All right. Well. Let's go for this. I'll throw you a challenge to wrap up tonight's show, and let's see if you can do the outro. If people want to get hold of us, how do they do that?
Sure, they can shoot us an email to mail@partyloaded.com. They can find us on Facebook @partyloaded, on Twitter @partyloadedshow, and we have our YouTube channel, youtube.com/channelendgame. And don't forget to follow me, because I'm the coolest one here, on Twitter at EGCPB.
Awesome.
Definitely, because I don't even have Twitter. Tweetless.
That's tweetless. No, that's not true. You've got several of them that join you every week for a show. Anyway, so
sadly, yes.
All right, good job. Nice. That feels good. Feels good. Feels good to start the year fresh, new approach. Lots of games to look forward to. Some fun to be had. We had a good time. So next week on the show, no doubt another company will drop something weird and wonderful that we can chat about. But what are our gaming plans between now and then? Have we got anything on the board that we're looking forward to jumping into? Ollie, what are you doing this week?
Resident 7.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 7.
That's the thing
DLC.
you said every week for the last 3 weeks.
2 weeks. Only 2 weeks. And because I blame zombies.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And that
it's
is
all yours and Dave's fault.
That is sideways adjacent at least, so...
Exactly. There's zombies in both. It's fine.
Yeah, nice. Christian, what are you playing this week? You still on the Destiny bandwagon, or?
I'm going to be picking up Dragon Ball Fighters, actually.
Ooh.
Been super looking forward to that. Dusting off my fight stick. Going to get stuck in there.
Nice.
I'm super keen for that.
That does look like a lot of fun. I'm tempted to pick up Monster Hunter World. I missed the beta on the weekend, unfortunately, because I got distracted by Hearthstone World Championships and things. But yeah, that's out like in the next week or two, I think.
Yeah, that's the same day as Dragon Ball Fighters, which is the 26th, I want to say, or 28th.
Okay. So that is going to be out in time to play before we chat next week, I think. Yeah, we could probably make this happen. That sounds like a Friday or a Saturday release. Yeah, all right. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to dig out some time this weekend and play a bit of that. Because Monster Hunter does look very cool. It reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy 15 Combat meets Pokemon sort of style collectathon. So, yeah.
That's a game where if our group gets into it, then I'm 100% on board. Because I've played a little bit of Monster Hunter before, but only solo, and that game just doesn't work solo.
Right, okay. Interesting. Well, I know that our good friend Simo's keen to have a crack at that as a group setup, so I might tap him on the shoulder and see if he's still up for that as well. Get a posse together. Posse hunters.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, well, we'll leave it there. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back again for more of Helping next week. But until then, have lots of fun, play lots of games, and we'll chat to you in 7 days' time. Good night.
Bye.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production.
For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.